I cannot see you, but you tell me if I'm looking in the right direction.
You are looking
I can see
perfectly.
you're there, but I cannot see the outlines of your beautiful face.
Oh, Papa, you're
Believe
so
it or not.
sweet. Okay, we would love you to tell us, where were you born?
I was born in La Jera, Conejos County, Colorado.
And who are your parents?
My parents are John Howard Shawcroft and Marvell Reed Shawcroft.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 brothers and 1 sister.
How many states or countries have you lived in?
Oh,
And which ones?
I would have to count if you want to take the time.
Yes.
Colorado, of course, we have lived in Colorado. Arizona, we have lived in Ecuador and Guatemala, and we lived for a short time in California.
So I counted 5. Does that sound right?
That's about right.
Okay, 5. Can you tell us, what is your favorite treat?
My favorite treat,
Uh-huh.
as in dessert type treat or meal type treat.
However you interpret it. If I asked you, Papa, can I bring you a treat? What would you say?
Well, if I'm very hungry, roast beef, mashed potatoes, and gravy.
Mmm.
And for a treat, apple pie or cherry pie a la mode.
Oh, a la mode. Okay, Papa, what is your favorite book?
Well, I guess I would have to say the Book of Mormon.
That's a good answer.
And I have a lot of other favorite books. Are you talking about novels or something like that?
Well, we would love to know that, because I am going to ask what your favorite scripture is too.
Oh, okay. Well, years ago, my Aunt Gladys read every book that was published in the form of novels. And she gave me a book called The Secret Garden, which I must have read when I was 10 or 12 years old, at least 30 times. I remember The Secret Garden as a novel.
Is that the Francis Hodge Burnett one? Is that who's the author of that one?
I don't recall no. It was made into a movie
Uh-huh.
about this spoiled boy, and then the girl comes and she finds a garden that has been hidden, and it's a beautiful story. You should all read The Secret Garden.
Perfect. Okay, now Papa, tell us what your favorite scripture is.
My favorite scripture, well, there are many, but I guess the one I have quoted the most is Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
We got the lawnmower. What is your favorite hymn?
My favorite hymn. Oh, wow.
That's a harder one.
That's a hard one because there are so many.
There are so many.
How Great Thou Art, perhaps, is one of them. And Oh My Father.
Those are both wonderful.
And there is a book, there is a song written for male voices in the hymn book that is called O Home Beloved, Where'er I Wander. I love that song, that hymn.
Okay, Papa, can you tell us, do you play a musical instrument? Or have you ever?
I'll have to start out to say that is one of the regrets of my family. My mother could play any piece on the piano that anybody could tell. She gave me every opportunity to learn to play the piano. There would be a piano teacher come to our home that was called Mrs. Jenkins, with whom I did not get along very well. And then as I grew older, I got more interested in the girls than practicing the piano. So my mother and folks gave up. And I regret this to the day. I wish I could play the piano. Now as I went on a mission, I realized that there were many chapels and nobody could play the piano. So I began to review. I could read notes, everything, and I learned several of the hymns on my mission. And after returning, I practiced quite a bit on the piano. So yes, I have played the piano. For a while, in a very small band in La Jera High School, I played the trumpet, but I didn't never go very far with that.
Okay, besides the piano and the trumpet, do you have other hobbies? What other things do you like to do?
What other things do I like to do?
Or would you consider your hobbies?
Gardening would be my hobby, my avocation, the things I enjoy doing in the summertime. I love to plant and have things grow and create beautiful flowers and some tasty vegetables.
We're trying to do that. Huh.
Yeah.
We're trying.
It's a worthy pastime.
You can spend your whole life practicing.
Yes.
Okay, Papa, tell us how you met Nana.
Well, I would like to defer that as part of my remarks at the banquet.
Would you?
Because
Okay.
there's quite a story to that.
Okay,
More than we would want to take time to record here.
Okay, will you just tell us then when and where you got married?
We got married on June 8, 1954 in the Salt Lake Temple.
Okay.
And as an additional factor, the person who performed the sealing ceremony for us in the Salt Lake Temple was a man called Spencer W. Kimball.
It's pretty special, Papa.
That was, at that time, he was an apostle. I had an opportunity to spend several days on my mission in his presence, driving him from place to place, he and his wife, and Brother Bruce R. McConkie, and my mission president and his wife, and I was their chauffeur and translator. And so I became quite well acquainted with President, he was not president at that time, but Elder Kimball, and his wife.
And how many children do you and Nana have?
We have 6 children, one of whom completed her mortal mission in 11 days. We have always felt she was a special spirit that did not have need to go through her earthly probation. So she spent 11 days in mortality and went back to the celestial kingdom. But we have 3 lovely daughters and 2 handsome sons that have spent their life with us, and we love and appreciate them.
They're still waiting. They're still waiting to take their turn.
Well, yes, that's right.
Okay, Papa, tell us about the places that you've served as a missionary.
Well, I arrived in the mission field for the first time on the 3rd of July, 1950 in Mexico. And I started on the border of Mexico, only about 200 yards from the Rio Grande River. I was transferred from there in a few months to Ciudad Juarez, which is on the border, just across from El Paso, Texas, and then was moved to a city called Puebla, which is in southeastern Mexico. And then I spent half of my mission, 15 months, as mission secretary and counselor to the mission president. In other words, half of my mission, 15 months, was in the mission office.
Wow. Okay, and where else? I know that's not the only place.
Well, then, and I will tell this as part of my story
Your
as
story,
I talk
too.
a little bit at the dinner.
Okay.
But Nana and I Well, and that's going to be part of, I will leave out
You'll
some
leave
of the
that?
story, but
Okay.
we fulfilled our first mission in the Quito mission in Ecuador. And then 9 months later, we found ourselves back in the country of Ecuador, presiding over the Guayaquil mission. We finished that in 3 years. We returned home, and after a few months, we got another call and asked if we could fill another mission. And we were sent to Guatemala and spent 18 months in Guatemala as leadership missionaries, and I was considered somewhat of a counselor to the mission president, President Moro. After we finished that mission, we thought we were through, but we received a little phone call from a man called Spencer W. Kimball, who called us. No, that was not Spencer W. Kimball, that was Gordon B. Hinckley, from whom we received the call. And we were asked to go back to open the Guayaquil Temple in August of 1999. And we served there for 3.5 years as we opened the new temple in Guayaquil, with the first temple president and temple matron of the Guayaquil Ecuador Temple.
Okay, Papa, we're going to switch gears now and tell me about where you went to school and what you studied when you were in college.
When I were in college,
Mm-hmm.
I graduated as salutatorian of my graduating class, and as such that qualified me for a nice scholarship to the University of Colorado. So I began my studies at the University of Colorado in the fall of 1947, a long time ago. And at that time I had told my folks that I was not interested in serving a mission. But the Spirit spoke to me. I was 2 quarters away from graduating from the University of Colorado when I had this feeling, and I called my folks and I said, I have decided to go on a mission. And I could tell some stories about how that happened, but I did spend 2.5 years in Mexico from July 1950 to December of 1952. Then after we had raised our family, Dorothea and I served in Quito, Ecuador, a mission, in the Guatemala mission, another mission in Quito, Ecuador as mission president, and the 4th mission served with the 2 of us as president and matron of the Guayaquil Temple.
And what
I have spent, I don't say this to boast, but I have spent 11 years and 4 months of my life serving full-time as a missionary in the church.
we love your example, Papa. And you have a lot of grandchildren who look up to you. Can you tell us how many you have?
Grandchildren, I can tell you, we have 17 grandchildren.
Wow.
Now you're going to ask me how many great-grandchildren, and I honestly don't know.
I don't
would
know
have to
either.
count.
We would have to count,
We
wouldn't
would have to count this afternoon and make sure how many there are.
There are, yeah.
They're in the high 40s or 50, approaching 50 great-grandchildren, but I don't know for exactly the number.
Okay, and when you were talking about going to college at the University of Colorado, what did you study when you were there?
Oh, I studied general studies, and then I decided to major in Spanish. I studied Spanish. And then that was not the end of my university training. Then I did interrupt my college. I did not graduate from the University of Colorado. I went on a mission and decided during the mission I didn't want to teach Spanish or do anything. So I decided I would stay on the farm, and I went after the mission was finished. I enrolled in Utah, at that time, Utah State Agricultural College, USAC, which is now the University of What, Northern Utah?
Is it
Is it
Utah
in
State?
Logan, Utah.
Yeah, Utah State.
I graduated, got a Bachelor of Science degree from Utah State University. Returned home and thought I was going to be a farmer and a cowboy, and circumstances, which are too lengthy to tell here, caused me to change. I had said for many years, the last thing in the world I would ever be was a school teacher. So as it turns out, 15 miles from Lajera, Colorado, where we lived in Alamosa, Colorado, was Adams State Teachers College. So I left the farm, went to Adams State College, earned a degree in education, and then began my teaching career, which after saying I would never be a school teacher, I only spent 32 years in the classroom.
Only.
Moral of that story is choose your words carefully.
Never say never.
Don't say never.
Okay, Papa, last thing. We would love to know, as your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, what would you like us most to know about you?
Most to know about me.
If you could leave us with one parting word of wisdom, what
Yes.
would you want to make sure we know?
Well, I'll repeat this at dinner, but there is a scripture in the third epistle of John in the Bible that is only one verse long, but is a full sermon and would be my parting expression to my family and my loved ones. The verse reads, I know no greater joy than to see
Go ahead.
than to see that my children walk in truth and light. That would be my parting thought to all of you, and that, of course, there's much to be said, but let me repeat that again. I know no greater joy than to see that my children walk in truth and light. And that would be my overall expression to you all. Continue just exactly living the lives as you are living at the present time. Because you can always improve. Don't miss opportunities as I did about learning the piano. Take advantage. Take advantage of opportunities as they arise, because they have in many times lifelong effects and influences on your life, or they could.
Thank you, Papa. We love you. You ready to go party?
Let's go party.